you've crossed that barrier into proper celebritydom, right? Like KSI he runs this place. He's got it by the throat, you know? This bitter rivalry. And Jake and the venom that is that, they can sell out Cardiff, man. It was such a better show for Jake than it was for Tommy. I think at some point, JJ's going to have to answer that question. What happens if the karate stance or the style doesn't work? And Jake will have to answer the question, what if I can't put this fool down? Jake doesn't want the KSI fight as much as KSI wants the Jake fight. Tommy Fury has hit the lottery, ladies and gentlemen. He has found a way to be a subpar boxer. He's able to fight guys at a lesser level and use the name of a higher level to meet in the middle. I love KSI taking this challenge, but it is a massive step up from what he's had. Jake hit him with the right hand, could have put him down. I can't. I was one of the guys that told Deji to stop boxing. You're not taking this seriously, stop boxing. But then he started taking it seriously. He finally got it. There's a special set of rules for KSI and Jake. They have to win. Like, they have to. If not, it all goes away.
How do you assess it at the moment? Because
I think you hit it on the head, man. I think you said it right. It was we're in a good spot, but we can always do things better. And I think that, especially in the last month or two, people have looked at me and, Wade, you're so cynical on things, and why do you always have an opinion that's you're hating? And it's never like personal with me. I never hate anything. The only thing I would say maybe I do hate is the idea that offering a different opinion means that I am in some way hurting the scene. In fact, what I want to do is help the scene grow by maybe pointing out ways that we don't want to go in some cases, and ways we, in my opinion, we do want to go. So I think that the things that become more improved, I've said it for a while now, are stuff like focusing on the characters we have, the people we have, telling their story, not necessarily manufacturing stories to tell, but telling these are people, right? They're people that have stories already. Most of them are influencers that you already know. There's no need to make anything up. Give the people what they already want. More about their influencer. More so. And it's not just relying upon me or companies' promotions. It is relying upon the influencers themselves.
They create content for a reason as well, don't they? I'm going to be a little bit cliche, but we said this off camera anyway because of the timing of this coming out. But the big dogs of the scene, and in all fairness, we have to show respect and credit where it's due, because these big fights have been made are the reason why it gets so much noise and so much attention. So of course I'm talking about KSI, Jake Paul, and even Tommy Fury's involved now. It's all I like to call it the crazy, multiverse. Right? I really do, because it's nuts.
It is.
KSI, Jake Paul, first of all, it's been a fight that's been brewing, and in all fairness, I absolutely love the fact that it's been brewing on for a while. I want it to happen.
5 years.
I want it to happen, but because they're not, again, they're probably going to hate me for this, proper professional athletes as such, where maybe Jake's a little bit different because he's really has invested a lot of time into it. It doesn't matter too much if it sort of goes on a little bit. Like I said, 5 years actually said that is quite a long time.
That's what I'm saying, right?
But KSI, Jake Paul, Wade, I mean, do you think it can sell out a stadium?
100%. 100%. I would say if it's in the US or UK, I think it probably sells a bigger stadium here, I would think.
I would agree. Not me being biased. I would agree as well.
Because I think KSI could pull with that chair right there. You know what I'm saying? He could sell out with that fake real plant you guys have in the corner over there. He could. Like he genuinely something about. But not to get off topic, but you like the U.S. YouTubers, we're not on posters. We're not in commercials. I was at the Marriott the other night, and Harry Panero is doing like a deal for Marriott. That would be something that a movie star would do in the U.S. Logan Paul isn't doing like he has a Super Bowl commercial with Prime, but you're not seeing him on like Giorgio Armani, him walking around like doing.
That's his own thing.
Exactly. That's his thing. So you guys have you've crossed that barrier into proper celebritydom, right? Like KSI he runs this place. He's got it by the throat, So he would sell out so easily here, and then you add the we all know this bitter rivalry. And Jake and the venom that is that, they could sell out Cardiff, man.
Cardiff, yeah. I heard that Principality Stadium.
They could sell it out.
Yeah.
With the right build. Like, the problem is we give this 5-year thing, and we look at it like, oh, it's just there. Remind the people. You know what I mean? They will. Give them a couple press conferences. They will. But just make sure that we nail that home. Remind them why we fell in love with this rivalry in the first place. Bring Logan back into it. Bring the Pauls back into it. All the pools. Bring Deji back into it, right?
Yes, 100%.
And get
That's
those
where it
people
started, didn't it? Because you had Logan and KSI, and then you had your Jake Paul versus Deji. By the way, that press conference, if you remember, it was absolutely chaos, wasn't it?
But the thing that people forget was it was supposed to be Jake and KSI.
Yeah.
Before Logan.
100%.
And it was one of those things where Jake was like, "No, I'm not doing that yet." In fair play, Jake had never fought,
and he took his time and he's come back.
And when JJ came back after 3 years, people were like, "Oh, why don't you fight Jake?" Well, because he's been off 3 years. So it's like we've missed it and we've kind of dodged a bullet here and there. But now we're getting, in my opinion, it's closer and closer and closer. The only thing that potentially stands in the way is both of their next fights. And I don't even know that it does stand in the way. I think they can still do that fight and still sell out and still it'll be a massive one. But both dudes taking on some tough tests, man.
And the hard question, the one that we all get asked all the bloody time.
How about I ask you and then you can ask me?
Okay, go for it. You can ask me the question.
Who wins?
I'm going to say JJ, and the reason why I'm going to say KSI, he's got a very unorthodox sort of style, hasn't he?
He
Has got a very unorthodox style. And listen, the Joe Fournier fight, I was really gutted by that. I was sitting there ringside.
You have to be for him, man.
I was gutted because obviously the amount of graft, whether you like him or hate him or like Joe or hate him, they put a lot of graft in every single camp to get to where they want to be. But I'm going to say JJ simply because I think he's got more of a dog in him. Jake's a madman. Jake is an absolute madman. And I think he should have got a lot more props than what he did against Tommy, by the way. A massive, massive amount of props. To go 8 rounds and lose on points the way he did, I think, in all fairness, fair play to him.
It was such a better show for Jake than it was for Tommy. Like, for Tommy Fury I'm not going to sit here and just tear the guy apart, but Tommy did what he was supposed to do.
For sure.
But then to act like when he gets a commemorative belt from the WBC and he drops to his knees like Achilles after winning a war, and then is like praising everyone and crying and weeping and jumping onto the ropes and showing this title that means nothing. I was like, bro, okay.
I was exactly the same, and I think that in his defense, what he will say is because he had the amount of stick that he got was probably the most he's never seen in his life.
It was a lot of pressure on him for sure. But you know why? His own family put that pressure 100%. On him.
You got John Fury belling at you.
John and Tyson are like, "You're not coming back to the family. You're gonna stay." And I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, of course. But no, yeah. So you say JJ,
and I'll tell you what I will say is I don't think either of them knocks each other out. And I know that's again might be controversial. And again with JJ's sort of unorthodox style, he could catch him at any point, and Jake could. I mean that overhand, he could catch him at any point. However, I personally will say that I think it goes to points. I really, really do.
I could definitely see that. I'm going to go Jake, and I think it's for kind of the same reasons you gave KSI the victory. He's unorthodox, but he's not necessarily something that's good for him in that fight specifically. It's good for him on this level where guys are routinely kind of the same experience and haven't been in later rounds, big fights, dangerous, all these things where JJ can catch guys with speed, agility, cardio. I mean, he's a cardio machine. The big difference that people see with JJ is something that I don't necessarily see. He's bladed his stance, and people are like, "Oh, the karate stance, right?" It is. It's tough to deal with because you've bladed, and now there's not as much. Here goes the breakdown, Wade. Ready? Here we go. There's not as much that you can really see because he's turned sideways. There's attacks can come from this hand pretty frequently and without much tell. And then with his cardio and his ability to switch, he's got really fast twitch muscle, so he can go. And when he decides he wants to go, he is so uber confident in it, he doesn't in his head think, I'm getting knocked out. He's like, I'm eating whatever you throw, and I'm going to bang you out. Like, that is it. You're going to sleep. You can hit me with whatever you got, and you're going to sleep. So the confidence that he has is a good thing, but it's also the reason that he could, and in my opinion, may walk onto a big one from a guy like Jake who plants and throws. He sees reads, boom, overhand, whatever it is. I think at some point, JJ's going to have to answer that question. What happens if the karate stance or the style doesn't work? And Jake will have to answer the question, what if I can't put this fool down? That's the big difference.
Frustration, I think, builds, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. And we've seen guys that give Jake problems are guys that are heavy volume. If JJ is not just heavy pace, but if he's heavy volume, then it becomes a different conversation. If he's heavy on his lead hand, just da, 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 and making Jake interrupt a lot of his combinations, that would be where I'd go, okay, hold on a second. This could turn real quick. So it's a fun fight. I would go Jake, and I would even go like, you could see a knockout from either guy, but the safe pick is probably a decision because of the way both guys fight. You could see a lot of clinches and a lot of just like.
Well, especially the more rounds go on, because I've heard 6 to 8 rounds, or
Jake's
even
doing 10 now. So the respect, like at the end of the day, the respect these two should get for doing what most amateurs and low level pros won't do until their 10th, 12th, 13th, 20th fight is ridiculous. 10 rounds is nuts.
And it's the amount of pressure. Let's talk about pressure, because this fight.
That's a good point about this.
It really is, and it will make or break the fight. And I'll tell you why. And again, please give me your opinion on this. It's because the further this fight goes on, let's say first 3 rounds, it's very, very shaky. You've got KSI is going to come out of the blocks, because in his head, in both of their heads, remember, the press conference is going to be wild, and all they're going to talk about is, I'm going to knock you out first round, I'm going to knock you out in the second round, this and that, this and that. Knockout is going to be the word that's been used majority of times in this press conference. And if that gets in their heads while they're fighting, the longer the rounds go on, the more clinching we see, the more pressure you've got, more eyes. Everybody's sitting up like this on their chairs because they're waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately, I think it's going to make or break the fight, because the amount of pressure they're going to put on themselves as well to deliver is huge.
That's a big point. Jake has done a good job he's done a good and bad job. He's a very slow starter, and he likes to warm himself up through the rounds, where JJ he's done like 4 rounds in the back. I don't know who he's sparring with in the back. He probably whips ass. They used to say Conor McGregor would bring in Artem Lobov to camp and just beat the shit out of him before he would go and make the walk to the cage. So he already did a couple rounds in the back. So if you're in there with Conor, he's on round 3 and you're on round 1. You're cracking it out. He's like, what's up?
I've seen his warm-up, JJ. He was running around the backstage like this.
Just he's just an Energizer bunny, bro. So the thing that I do think, one, yes, it's a massive factor. Jake can't be a guy that starts slow, but also this pressure. There's a difference in the way the two look at this fight. And this is where KSI could have a little bit of that advantage, because Jake doesn't want the KSI fight as much as KSI wants the Jake fight. Right now, it doesn't seem
That's true.
And I don't know what those reasons are from Jake. I mean, I interviewed the guy. He said it doesn't think it sells. It is a big deal, though, if you walk into a fight going, easy money, you know what I'm saying? We crack the neck out, we go. And that dude wants to take your head off because it's you, and it's personal to him. There's a difference in the meaning there. And we know when KSI has that vendetta, has that personal fight, when it means that much to him, he will not let himself lose.
And this is very similar to when he fought Joe, because again, this was, I guess Logan 1 and Logan 2 we could throw in there as well, because at that point they really, really didn't like each other. But all the Misfits cards that JJ's been on, the fights, let's be honest, especially Temper, he didn't dislike any of them really.
Temper,
Swarms,
it was like business. Swarms, business. Pineda, unfortunate, but business, Joe even. Business, like he was like, yeah, Joe's a funny guy, he's a good talker, but he knew what that fight was. Like, I got to beat this pro, I got to get that, beat a pro boxer.
Whereas Joe Weller was the first sort of,
and Tommy will be the same way,
100%.
Where Joe was like, yeah, a lot of people picked Joe, a lot of people's like, this is our guy, and I don't know exactly how it was over here in the UK, but it seemed like KSI walked into that fight a bit like the villain, and he was like, he kind of embraced that, right? So I think for KSI to be that again, it's going to take Jake, and because of that, it does increase his chances because it is personal.
And now we throw Tommy Fury into the mixture. I'm going to keep using this word, the multiverse, because it is still crazy that Tommy Fury is involved in this. He's got pressure on his shoulders because, as we mentioned, when you've got a dad like John Fury and you've got a brother like Tyson Fury, and the Fury name as such on your birth certificate, it comes with a lot of pressure. And when you've add into this pot that is just overfilling with pressure of the man like JJ and KSI coming in with the amount of viewers and the eyes that are always on him, this fight's going to be huge as well.
Tommy Fury has hit the lottery, ladies and gentlemen. He has found a way to be a subpar boxer that, let's be honest, for his ranking in the WBC, which is, I'm not even sure how this has happened. He's gotten this ranking as a top 40 fighter in the WBC with not fighting any ranked fighters, would get absolutely dog-walked by guys that you've had on this show, guys like Vidal Riley. He wants zero part of that fight because he understands what he is. That Fury name is the lottery ticket. He's able to fight guys at a lesser level and use the name of a higher level to meet in the middle, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him, obviously, because of the last name, but also these are bank robberies for him, like essentially. And I love KSI taking this challenge, but it is a massive step up from what he's had, right? So this one's a fun one, and like I said, I respect the balls, man. I respect KSI for being like, yeah, bro, I want that guy. Jake lost that guy? I want him. I love that. It's going to be a tough fight.
It's a gamble,
Big
It's
one.
a big gamble. And I'll tell you why, and I think, again, you'll agree with me, is because obviously he's going to fight him before Jake.
Yep.
So if he fights him before Jake, if he loses to Tommy, does that mean the price of that fight between Jake and KSI and the hype around them two dips a little bit?
A little bit. I think so. I think it's the way. And I don't want to put like out in the universe, KSI is just automatically losing, right? I do think Tommy beats him, but it's a fight. You know, at the end of the day, they got to step in, they got to do it. And people like myself saying that, I know that fuels JJ, so JJ, use it. Rocket fuel to the fucking moon. Let's do it. But if he is to lose that fight, if it's a decision where it's kind of like the Jake fight, I don't really think it hurts. I think it may even help because now it's like, he lost kind of the same way Jake did. We always compare them. We always do it. Even though it's not fair to either of them, we always do it. If you lose in a similar fashion, I think it helps the fight. If JJ beats Tommy, it definitely helps the fight. But if JJ gets knocked out cold,
that's different.
We might not get to that fight.
Are we both saying that Tommy beats JJ?
Yeah.
Knockout or points? Because I personally, from what I've seen from Tommy, I mean, listen, you mentioned Tommy Fury and you go, right, Tyson, well, he's got to live up to that. Well, everyone's different in their own ways, of course. Everyone has their own styles and the way they fight. And again, Tommy had Love Island. He's come out and he's with Molly May now. He's had all different types of routes, whereas Tyson was a little bit different. But I personally will go for points again.
Yeah, listen, Tommy fights like Tyson. If you guys watch Tommy Fury, he fights like Tyson without a 6'9" frame.
Yeah.
So he has a crazy wingspan, but he also runs himself into a lot of trouble. So what JJ sees in this, and it's pretty easy to understand what they want to do, JJ's got a nuclear bomb of a right hand, right? They know. Like, I know people are like, he hasn't knocked people out like Jake is. I trust when people that have been hit by JJ tell me what it feels like. Moose and Kaysen, number 38 in the world cruiserweight. Vidal Riley, number 39 in the world cruiserweight. These guys are number 40. These guys are saying, no, JJ got power. That man, when he puts that on you, you go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I trust their assessment. When he does that, he doesn't believe anyone can take it. He watched Jake land right hand on Tommy after right hand on Tommy after right hand on Tommy and watch Tommy walk right into him and believes wholeheartedly that's going to be it. Jake hit him with the right hand, could have put him down. I can. And that's why. So that's probably what it's going to take. But I agree with you. I think Tommy is just so lead hand heavy and so volume heavy. He interrupts your pace. He interrupts your rhythm. And we all know JJ does kind of need to have that blitz rhythm, and he has to really catch your timing. So I think Tommy jab fests his way to a victory.
And if it's a fast-paced fight, it goes in the hands of JJ, doesn't it, really? Because
if it's a fast pace without ton of volume, yes.
Yeah.
If it's fast-paced, but Tommy is right there with him with his jab, cutting ring, keeping JJ on I wouldn't say back foot, but keeping him in front of him, and JJ's not able to turn angles and just be as wild as he really is, then, again, I lean Tommy there. But if it's fast-paced and Tommy is getting ate up with space, it could be an issue.
It's crazy though, because we mentioned the word gamble, but I know every single influencer boxing fight is a gamble because you're risking being a meme at the end of the day, and that is completely different. Let me tell you, it is completely different to a traditional boxing fight. It really, really is 100%. Because these boxers know that yes, it's a game of snakes and ladders, of course, but you're going to get another fight down the line. Yeah. And you can build yourself back up. But with these influencer fights, they really don't work like that. They don't work like that. You might get a fight again down the line, but your hype and your sort of ability to be able to deal with this meme, it's crazy.
I would say it doesn't work like that for those two specifically.
Yeah, of course.
For I wouldn't say mid-tier, but like guys like Deji, guys like Gibb, they have built themselves back, right? They took some losses early. Gibb lost to Jake. Deji lost to pretty much everyone until the Fuzi fight. Those guys were able to build themselves back because they just kept going. And we're not the pro scene. We don't have to win every fight, but there's a special set of rules for KSI and Jake.
That's why I mentioned it. Exactly that.
They can't. They have to win. Like, they have to. If not, it all goes away. Simple.
But now I want to move on to, I know you mentioned the mid-tier. We don't want to disrespect anyone, of course.
Right.
But who would you say is your favourite influencer boxer, bar JJ, KSI, Jake Paul, Tommy, Logan, etc.? Because there's been some really cool stories, hasn't there?
100%.
There's been a lot of... I mean, for me personally, I know Deji's quite a big name, but that story as a whole, and that we mentioned right at the start of this show, that willingness to just keep going, having that belief in yourself.
I was one of the guys that told Deji to stop boxing. I was like, stop. You're not taking this seriously. Stop boxing. because you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your fans that believe that you're going to take this seriously a disservice. But then he started taking it seriously. Deji is, I love that kid. I love that kid so much because he finally got it. Because there's some people in your life, and I'm not saying that Deji is this because personally I don't know him like that, but I know what he's got there in the boxing realm. But there's some people in your life where you look at him and you just wonder, are you ever going to get it? Whatever it is, if it's moving out of the parents' house, getting that job, looking for a career, getting out of debt, getting married, having kids, whatever it is. And you go, I just don't know if you're going to get it. And when that moment happens, you're like, I always knew you'd get it. You know, like but it is. It's one of those things you wanted so much for him, but he had to want it for himself, and he finally did that. That's why I love his story. He is one of my favorite stories, but I'm going to separate the two. Mm-hmm. Deji is a story, but as a boxer, I really like Wenderson, but I've only seen him once, so I can't do that. As a boxer's growth, give me King Kenny, man. Give me King Kenny because actually, but then you have Gib. Give me King Kenny /Gib/Jarvis. All right, I'll stick with Kenny.
Jumping around the question.
I'll stick with Kenny because I'm so one of the things about me as a boxing fan, I was raised on boxing because my dad was a big boxing fan, but not like a hardcore. Like he watched the Four Kings, Duran, Hearns, Hagler, Sugar Ray. And he was a big Tommy Hearns fan. And I look at Kenny, and again, you have to simplify things for our scene. But I'm like, he could be our scene's Tommy Hearns. He could be the hitman because he's got just a wide range. But I would say him, and then I have to give a B-side to it. I really enjoy watching Slim fight. So
I think him as well, because again, we've mentioned quite a lot that with the influencer boxing scene, you have to have a personality to really sell a show. And I know that's the same with every boxing show, but it really is the same with influencer boxing scene. But King Kenny's really interesting because I think his story is very similar to Deji's in the sense of King Kenny in the build-ups is there's so much excitement, there's so much hype around him, and then I think if hopefully we can get him on the show, because I think it'd be really interesting to find out. He's really got a dog in him, and he's got so much potential he can unlock in these fights. And it's when it gets to that moment, it just almost either disappears or he's struggling to get out. I hate to use this is a very weird sort of comparison, but it's almost like constipation as such. It's stuck. It is stuck. It's waiting to come out because you'd agree with me. You just want him to throw some hands. Same with Deji as well. How many fights have we seen? Alex Wasabi, for example, Vinny Hacker. I know the cardio was a bit different with Vinny.
I really enjoy watching.
But with the Alex Wasabi fight with Deji, you just wanted him to. He was slipping everything. He was doing this. He was doing that. You think, woo, I like this, but throw some hands, man. You've got it in you. And I think that's why you picked King Kenny, because he's got it there.
The potential is the word with Kenny. And by the way, I do have to say this. I'm only saying these names because my boy Face Sensei doesn't fight anymore. If he's in the scene, he's not only the best story, but the best fighter that we have. I'm just saying.
That first fight, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was on the KSI Joe Weller card, wasn't he?
So he was on KSI and Logan.
Logan, that's what it was,
number one. And he fought Overt Flow, get him with the liver shot.
Yeah.
But my boy Face Sensei is top of the class. But yes, there's just so many good ones, man. It's hard to pick one, but yeah, Kenny is the word with Kenny is potential. When you look at Gib, the word is redemption or drive, and a guy like Alex Wasabi, slick. Nick LMAO, slick, Slim, the Hitman, so it's just like watching all these guys have their own personalities and have that personality in fighting is what, and like you said with Kenny, he's starting to develop now. I love that stuff. So,
what's one fight that, again, let's not include the KSI Jake, etc. What's one fight that you really, really want to see happen?
I'll give you 5.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Funny enough, shout out Fred Talks Fighting, by the way. He said the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly it's just, it needs to happen. The way that fight went, Woollard wins the first couple of rounds doing his thing, and then Dean, hammer, right hand, comes back. I'm on commentary. Oh, my God. We all did. So that one, Gib and Slim need that. Been wanting that one for forever now. I've said this, and people don't like when I say it, especially here in the UK, but given KSI, potential there for that to be one of the biggest stories we've ever told. I would like to see Logan box again. I don't know who I could pick to be a name. Maybe Logan and Le'Veon Bell. I don't think that fight will ever happen, but my guy Le'Veon is better than a lot of people think. And then
There's some huge fights there.
I know. I'm
blanking,
but there's probably so many. Wenderson and KSI probably would be another one.
Yeah, because I remember I see KSI tweet about that. He was like, "I'll come to your hometown." Wenderson as a whole, by the way, his fan base is huge.
Yeah,
that Brazilian sort of vibes and the amount of fan base that the big fan base that he's got is mad, right?
It was crazy. That night was crazy. One of the craziest thing is Wenderson, when I'm interviewing him in the post fight from Kingpin #1. I don't understand what he's saying, obviously, but I'm talking. And I'm trying to get my question out, and he just stops me. He grabbed me by my face. I was like, "Whoa, hold on." Another man grabbed me by my face like that. You know what I'm saying? But he turned me to the crowd, and basically was like, "Listen to the crowd. No talking. Just listen." And I let it just kind of air out, and it was insane. I don't know how many people were in there, but it felt like a freaking 20,000 seat arena. So. He's got pull, man. So that's why KSI, he's smart, man. KSI knows. He's like, yeah, I can pull with that guy.
Goosebump moment, that one.
Oh, 100%. One of the loudest I've ever heard in an arena. Again, I don't know how many people were in there, but it felt louder that moment than KSI's return. And I was there for that. It felt louder than KSI knocking out Tempered. I was there for that. And it was just one of those things where I was like, God, what is this?
And last question on this segment, it's an important one. Every question I've asked is important, but this one for me is the real standout because it's been a real talking point for a long, long time. Again, we've waited 5 years for KSI and Jake Paul to happen. We're still going to be waiting for a fair while,
6.
I think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good 6, maybe 7, hopefully not 7.
Oh,
but if KSI Jake happens, when it does, let's say,
yep.
Whoever wins, it's a two-part question. First part is obviously, would you want to see a rematch in that, a rematch clause in the contract? I personally would. And also, do you think it could be the end of the hype of influencer boxing as a whole? Because I feel like everyone's clinging on to this belief that this fight's going to happen. It's going to be one of the biggest fights. And personally, I think it will. But do you think it's going to be sort of the end of the hype?
So, couple things. The rematch clause is best for business, absolutely. Now, the way that fight goes will, in my opinion, dictate the need for a rematch. Like, yeah, you should put the rematch clause in contracts for sure. But if someone gets starched in the first or second round and it's bad, like unconscious on the canvas, it's like, yeah, what are we doing? Do we really need to run that one back? Pretty definitive. And for the second part, I think you keep talking about the multiverse. This influencer boxing scene has a funny way of mirroring the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we're in the end game now.
That's true. Good. That was good.
We're in the end game now. You like that? Doctor Strange. We are, though. This is coming to that point, and in multiple ways I mean that, because what happened in the end game, right? That was the big selling off point of a 10-year build. We're in a 5-year build right now. That's the end point of that. And also outside of it, from a real life perspective, after Endgame, we have these Marvel movies that we're still interested in, but it doesn't have that, right? We don't have that 10-year build, big climactic moment. That's how I see the influencer boxing scene after Jake and KSI. We'll still be around. There'll still be fights that we're like, oh, yeah, that's kind of pretty cool, but is it Jake and KSI? Are we building to that years down the line? Are we taking a peek and being like, oh, my God, if that happens, bro? I don't know. In fact, I don't think so.
Because we need to, because then hopefully, well, fingers crossed, because I don't want to see this sort of space, not just for business purposes or anything like that. I want to see it sort of keep growing, because, again, it has so much potential to create more stories like your KSI and Jake Paul.
Which need to be happening right now, and are in some cases. Like I said, Dean Woollard, Wenderson Nunes, King Kenny, this tournament we're doing with Kingpin, Gibb, Jarvis. We haven't even talked about Jarvis. He's down in Mayweather gym getting work with
jacked as well.
Getting work with 18-time junior national world champs. Like he's getting. They called the kid Little Tank in that gym, and I watched him spar. I was like, oh my God, who is this? And they put Jarvis in there with that guy. So yeah, there's a ton of stories to flesh out. I say that preemptively because I don't want us to get there. I don't want us to be in game happens, then boom, what do we do? I want us to have that next step already, and this comes back to our original point. You have to tell stories.
That is the most important thing, isn't it? That really, really is. But yeah, I think that is pretty much everything. I think last question actually. What's next for Wade? Because you're a busy man. What's next for Wade Plem?
I'm actually going to kind of break some news here. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think I can. It's not massive news, but there is a little bit of a transform going on this channel. Bam, the breakdown. So we're going to be covering a lot more American football. Sensei and I are both 17, 18 years in the game. I played from Woollard, 4 years old to 21. So we're going to cover a lot more of that. We're going to work with some YouTubers on that side. We're going to have some pro football guys on there. And also on the Wade Concept channel, man, we're going to be traveling a little bit. I'm going to be doing some training. You guys have seen so you want to be a fighter series. We're going to be taking that international, which I kind of already have, but some locations that I can't quite give up just yet. But yeah, we're going to go and basically train in any and every martial art that I can, and put myself through hell, man. Make myself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Continue with the influencer boxing scene. Just like I told you earlier, continue to prove that we are more than just, funny YouTube kids just trying to emulate commentators and combat sports pundits. We are what those people are, but we do it with just hard work.
No, that's fair enough. But as well, what I want to quickly say is thank you so much for taking time to come here. I hope you've enjoyed London, because it's a lot different to America, by the way. We were having a chat off camera. Some of the stuff he was telling me is crazy. College football is mental, by the way.
Gotta come out and see it, man.
Yeah, to be fair, drop me the info, I'll be there.
I got Tennessee orange and white for everybody in the studio. All right, I'm gonna get you on Tennessee orange and white. I'm gonna teach you how to sing Rocky Top. Rocky Top, you'll always be. I'm gonna get you. All right, but yeah.
But yeah, Wade, honestly, bro, thank you so much for taking the time.
Always.
We'll catch up very, very soon. But yeah, that is another show done, another show wrapped up. We really, really hope you have enjoyed. With myself, of course, hosting as always, Charlie Woollard. Please make sure you do drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss another show or any new videos here on the channel. But yeah, Wade, any last comments? Anything? Let people know where they can check you out, bro.
Of course, yeah. The Wade Concept, Wade's World, kick.com/Wade Plem, and then the breakdown, as you guys know, on YouTube. But yeah, that's it for me, man. I appreciate it.
Legend. From myself, Charlie Woollard, we'll speak to you and see you on the next one.